Hi everyone, welcome today to our every weekday, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, Q&A, question and answer session about U.S. immigration. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, managing attorney of the JQK law firm, helping people from across the world come and live in the United States. And as I said, every weekday I come on and talk live on TikTok, Monday through Friday on Immigration Lawyer John, the screen name or handle. On Tuesdays, I'm on Instagram, JQK Law Firm, and you can watch the video recording of this on YouTube. So we're going to get started in a second. We're going to start talking about the F1 student changes that happened briefly and some talking points there. But before that, just remember this is general information only. It's not intended for case-specific advice. For something like that, you should consult with an attorney in private. And also with regards to student visa issues, you should talk to and consult with your school, the designated school official, DSO, to see what's going on if they have any comments about that. But after having said that, let's get it started. All right, thanks again for joining us. As I said, I'm John Khosravi. I'm going to start today before taking any questions. Feel free to ask your questions and we'll go back to them. But there's a lot of things that came up about this new student visa rule. So what happened is, COVID-19 hit and a lot of people couldn't continue going to school. They had to be at home. And a lot of universities, colleges, law schools, graduate schools decided we'll just do things by Zoom video recording so people don't have to come to school to do the things they need for the student visa. And so because things were happening so quickly, the government under ICE said that we'll make it possible for the spring semester, last semester, to just stay at home and do online courses. But abruptly yesterday, they announced that no longer for next semester can students do online courses only. So the general idea of the new rule is you cannot just do a purely online course, because in their opinion, I'm guessing, they're saying, well, you could just do that in your home country. Why do you need to be in the United States? So they're stopping, the policy is that they're stopping full online courses. And so you need to talk to your school to see how courses are going to look at in the fall and how you can make your schedule to avoid that. Because some schools may still have some classes in person. And so a hybrid model where you're going to school, some classes and not others may work. So that's something you should talk to your school about. And when you're planning your course schedule, the classes you're going to take, this is something important you should keep in mind. If the university does not have such programs that are in person at all and they're doing everything online, you immediately need to either change to a different school and start look to that, which is going to be hard, or temporarily request to do a change of status to a tourist visa to hold you over. Or in the alternative, just go back to your home country. That's the situation you deal with right now. You won't be able to finish your school unless you have some sort of in-person school happening. Now the other question is, can an international student take a full online course load? No, they can't. I am an international student scheduled to start my studies in fall. Does this policy affect me? As I said, it will affect you if the school decides to do an all online policy and not offer any in-person kind of classes. However, a hybrid system, it's not that I have to go to school full-time. A hybrid system is possible, so you should look at that and talk with your school to see if they have that. The best person to deal with is your school designated school official, the DSO of the international department. Now, if your school does not do a hybrid and do not change schools or change status, the school will have to put your I-20 into invalid status, saying it's expired, and that could trigger removal proceedings, a deportation, if you remain in the United States without some sort of valid status, either a tourist visa or changing schools. When they cancel out your I-20, it's going to be an issue. And if you do some sort of hybrid system, you have to update your I-20 as well. The form I-20 is something people with student visas are aware of, but it's really important you talk with them, update the I-20 if you're still going to go to that school, or if a new school, change that up. That's going to be very important. Let's see what else. What if I start the fall semester under an in-person or hybrid model of school, but the class then moves to an online middle of the semester? So these are getting into more details that based on what the government said, it's not clear, but it seems likely that if it started out one way and changed, it's out of control, and there was some in-person activities, maybe they'll make it okay. That's a case-by-case basis that we'll have to see. Another question that came up, let's see. A lot of them are kind of the same stuff, but let me see if there's any other interesting ones that come up. What should you do if you're afraid to go to your home country? Well, maybe you could file for asylum, or again, file for a tourist visa that holds you over to figure out something that works best. But really, one of the best things to do is just to consult with an immigration attorney, to talk with them, to see what's going on, and also keep your school posted and see what's going on, when the world's going on with this. So having said that stuff, let's jump into the questions. I'll start with Instagram today because it's I don't usually do Instagram. I think I saw a question here. Fahim says, "Hi sir, my has been approved, waiting for my passport." And Fahim, your question doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what you're approved. Waiting for passport is something different, so you got to refresh your question. Matur says, "Hi sir." Let's see, what does Matur say? Let's scroll down. "Hi, students on STEM OPT will be affected with new ban." There's several different bans. There's no STEM OPT ban per se, but it depends on the facts or circumstances, which ban you're talking about, where you are outside or inside the United States. So much, we need a lot more information about your situation before I can answer that question. Now let's switch back to TikTok. We got a lot of people joining us, and I saw some questions in there. Good to see you, Manu. Im Sheikh says, "I recently received an intent to deny an I-130 for not submitting enough documents. Can I submit all ... You should immediately consult with an immigration attorney to see what the deficiencies were. It's very rare to get an RFE on I-130. I've only got one once just recently, and all the things the officer asked for are things we already sent them, and it's really just dumb stuff. They wanted the children's birth certificate for a couple. I never had a kid before. So it was a mistake by officer. We're going to respond to that. But with your case, I got to see what's going on, that they had this kind of deficiency. You should consult with an attorney for them to review the RFE, then review your background to see what kind of documents they can get together to respond to that RFE. You need to do that as soon as possible because there are time limits on RFEs. You ask, can you do it yourself instead of my attorney subbing it? You shouldn't ditch unless you don't like your attorney or you think they did wrong, you should go consult another attorney, but don't go around their back because they'll surprise them, and their name is on the record for that, so they're held responsible for a lot of things. I wouldn't recommend going around your attorney and submitting something without their knowledge. Just switch attorneys if you're worried about the services that the attorney was providing you. Jatlov says, "How long is it going to take to receive my perm in the mail after being certified?" Just wait. That's the only answer I have to that. Let's see what other stuff. Ali Shan says, "Does the new law affect the K-1 visa if the application has already got approved last month?" So none of the recent travel bans, the immigrant visa or the non-immigrant visa travel ban, include the K-1 fiance in it. Now, some embassies mistakenly think it is. Some understand that it's not. London, for example, thought it was, but recently announced that K-1s are not. They're all going to get updated and realize the K-1 fiance is not included in any of the non-immigrant visa or immigrant visa travel bans. But because the embassies are closed, it's still not clear. They haven't really jumped on it to do anything about it because it doesn't make a difference. Now, whether you're subject to the visa ban for COVID-19. For example, if you're a fiance that's in China or visited Iran, Europe, Brazil, UK, Ireland, they're still subject to these bans, and so they will be. So when you're talking about, are these bans affecting us? I don't know which ban you're talking about. I don't know which country your fiance lives in. So we got to just clarify all this kind of stuff to see what's going on. That's why you should probably consult with an immigration attorney to get more details. Matur follows up on Instagram, "STEM OPT with students have to leave for online classes. I am in the States." Well, the thing is, when you're a STEM OPT, that means you're not a student anymore, you are working. So this rule is regarding people who go to school and have online courses, Matur. So I'm not sure if other bans or other issues affect you, but this particular one is about people taking courses online as opposed to in person at the college or university. But a STEM OPT is a person who is in the STEM field, science, technology, I always forget the E, and mathematics, engineering, mathematics, and they're working. So that's a whole different thing. It might have issues, I don't know, but you should consult an attorney in private for that. Jitan says, "How am I? I'm doing good. Good to see you. It was a good day in LA. Wasn't as hot as usual. A lot of work I'm doing. As you know, I'm putting out a lot of material on YouTube and Instagram and all this kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time to make the team to do this, and I'm learning new methods of doing online information sharing and all that kind of stuff. So that, along with 2 small kids, is a handful. But we're doing great. Thank you so much, and I hope this information is helping all you all. You're welcome, Matur. Thank you so much for joining. And feel free, if you haven't, join us on TikTok, follow and subscribe to the YouTube page. You'll see recordings of this. And on Instagram, I don't post every short video. I post 1 out of 3 of them. So check out stuff over there. Alicia asked, "Hi, sir. My status in USCIS has been updated mentioned that I will receive the interview date by mail. How long will it normally take? Well, I just did a video on YouTube, and I think I posted on Instagram as well, where there's no answer to the question you're asking. But check out my YouTube page. It asks what happens when they say your interview is going to be updated, and watch that clip. It'll help you out. Jesse says, let me know if you have a website. I do. It's jqqlaw.com is my website, but I'm putting most of my emphasis on the YouTube page right now, so check that out as well. Sadie says, are they still taking interviews for green card on marriage base? No, there's no interviews for green cards happening for most types of green cards right now, in particular marriage cases. They're waiting for the backlog of citizenship cases to clear out, which should happen, they say, by the end of July. However, on the downside, they may shut down USCIS for funding issues at the beginning of August. So, you know, it's a mess, so let's put it that way. Jitan says, my lawyer submitted my documents 4 days late to immigration. It was for a 10-year green card. Well, did they get it rejected or come back? They have you're talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about a Form I-751 application for removal of conditional status. That means you had a marriage green card that was a new marriage, so you have to resubmit some documents 2 years later to show that the relationship was real, and there's a 90-day window where you can file it. In this case, they filed it 4 days late. Now, sometimes I see USCIS immediately issue what's called an NTA, notice to appear in immigration court for removal proceedings, but USCIS does have a procedure for you to file late and forgive the late filing. So you have to see whether the filing is going to be returned or not, and then request, forgiveness from the officer. Say, please, we did it, sorry, my bad, and see what they say. If not, refile it, and in the worst case scenario, you go to immigration court. If you have a solid case, that's going to probably work out. You just have to deal with an immigration judge, having a hearing and all that. It's unfortunate, but this kind of stuff does happen. I'm so optimistic it'll work out as long as you have a good case. Marriage was real, you have documents and all that kind of stuff. So it's not the worst case scenario, it's just not ideal. Let's put it that way. But thanks for your question, Jitan. Let's see, let's go down. Namaste to you too as well, Thawapo. Alexama asks, does USCIS signing petition affect the recent decision made by the ICE? Does US signing petition affect? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Alexama. I don't know, maybe clarify that. Never Give Up says, do you know embassy is opening in Turkey? No one really knows. Just constantly go to their website and see if they're opening. Probably not, yeah, I don't track every single embassy and they don't really share that information. You're welcome, Ali. Mr. Amiri asks, can I still file for N400 while my I-751 is still pending? It has been 22 months. Yes, you can. I did a video on this. Please go to the YouTube page. There's a 2 or 3 minute video that breaks down exactly this situation and some things to watch out for. Check it out on YouTube page. It's JQK Law Firm. But it is possible, but check out that video. There's a lot more information there that can help you out. Jaitan says, what action can I take on lawyer? Immigration documents for more documents now. What should I do? What action can I take on lawyer? Immigration asks for more documents now. What should I do? We got to submit more documents. I'm not sure what you could do with a lawyer. I'm not sure if it's necessarily malpractice or not. If they issue an RFE, that means they accept your I-751 and they're looking more into it. And then you just got to look at the documents if they're sufficient or not. I don't know. I got to see your case to see what's going on. I can't really answer that. Okay, Hashimi asks, how much should be your income to sponsor parents or wife? Well, that depends on a lot of different factors. One is how big your family size is, what your tax return looks like. And that gets too much into case-specific advice. I can't help you with that. But check out a form called Form I-864P, and that sets aside depending on your family size on I-864, how much income you should be making. But if you don't make enough income there, you could potentially fix that with assets, which has a calculation right there that varies depending on if you're a citizen and you're getting married as opposed to a parent or being a green card holder. It goes into complication stuff. So the question is a little too broad for me to answer here. Any more specific will be case-specific guidance, so I need to have a consultation with you. But that Form I-864P is your starting point to look based on your family size, what the expected Form I-864 affidavit of support numbers should be. But keep in mind there's a new public charge component and they're looking for maybe 250% above the poverty average, whereas what you're talking about here, they're looking for 150% above the poverty level. So as a lot of information, a lot of people don't might not understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave it at that. But once you get into this kind of side, I do recommend consulting with an immigration attorney. What I found is the most difficult time people have on filing for a green card case on their own is the affidavit of support from I-864. That has been the most difficult part I've seen for people doing it on their own. So I really recommend consulting with an attorney about that. Okay, Hijab says, for I-751 for children info section, should I put none or NA? What about yes or no questions? Well, in the instructions it specifies if there's a question where it has an answer that's alphabetical, you put NA as in not applicable, N/A. And if it's something that's a number, you put no. Now, if there's boxes where you have to check or not check the boxes, I just leave them blank. But this has become a bigger problem recently because USCIS sometimes will come back and it'll say you left one box empty. And historically, if you left a box empty, it didn't matter because it meant that box was not applicable to me. But for asylum cases and U visa cases, if you have one box empty, they're going to reject the case, and it's caused fear of them doing the same to other applications without notifying us first. So a lot of lawyers, including myself, have become overly cautious, and we mark NA or none, depending on whether it's a word that was supposed to be placed in that empty box or if it was a number, and it adds a lot of time extra for no reason, but that's something that unfortunately the U.S. immigration system, USCIS, randomly harps on, randomly gets strict about, and so we got to be cautious. We don't want a case rejected. It could cause issues. So that's what you should do in the instructions. It talks about this as well on all the forms about putting NA or none. One really surprising and just showing how messed up the system is, they just took this away, but there's a training manual for USCIS officers. It was called the Adjudicator's Field Manual. And this was available online. They just removed it about 2 weeks ago. And in that Adjudicator's Field Manual, there's a part of it that said, and I did a separate video on this, and this part said that if someone marks NA to an answer on the forms, consider that potentially being fraud. So they're trying to lie to you by putting NA to mislead you. Now, the instructions for the form, which is part of the regulation, says you got to put NA if it's blank, but the guidance that they're training their officers says that's an indicator of fraud. So if you follow their rules, you're going to commit fraud in their eyes. And I'm sure the officers themselves know better than that, and they read that Adjudicator's Field Manual and say, what the hell are they talking about? But this is the things that we're dealing with immigration. So there's a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of politics, a lot of emotions, a lot of all sorts of things. And it's a daily grind, daily fight. But you know, if you want to bring your loved one here, you want to stay here, you want to rise and help society in America, you got to do it and push your way through it. All right, Invincible asks, what are they going to do on the F1 student visas? Well, I talked about that at the beginning of this recording. This recording will be available probably in 2 days or so. Check that out, but I did go into detail about the F1 visa and what's happening there. Okay, Danny, thanks for sharing this current. If you haven't already, please subscribe and follow on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John. I don't do regular 1-minute videos on TikTok anymore. I may in the future, but I'm kind of bored of doing that. I like doing these daily live stuff. So my subscriber count has stayed kind of stagnant. But if you are watching on here, you're watching on the Instagram page or YouTube page, go out and you're on TikTok as well. Check it out, Immigration Lawyer John. That way you'll get notified when these lives happen to take part in it. All right, so Ant says, can we apply for a green card with new ban? You could apply for a green card, just submitting a petition. There's nothing wrong with that, but eventually when an interview comes, you may or may not be able to get an immigrant visa. It depends on what category of case you have, what your background is. So this is a major misunderstanding that people have, and it's one of the reasons why USCIS is going bankrupt. People mistakenly think that immigration is stopped, that you can't apply for a green card, for citizenship, renew your green card, anything else, but it's not the case. You could file, they are accepting petitions with USCIS completely, nothing gets stopped. So if you are interested in filing, you should file, but I would say consult with an immigration attorney first to see whether you have a good case or not, and to explain all the issues that exist, because just because you can file a case doesn't mean it's going to end or get approved, or it might take a while. There's all sorts of other issues that can happen down the line that you really need to plan and strategize for. It's a really complex kind of situation that you're dealing with. Mina asks, sir, how can we get a business visa from Afghanistan, USA? There is no such thing as a business visa. You got to specifically see what's involved. And there's all sorts of bans right now. So this is too general of a topic to be able to talk about here. You should consult with an immigration attorney in private to see what works. But it's going to be hard to do something like that. Sarah says, I just applied for my mom's green card last week and my mom has to leave August 1st week. I don't know. I got to see, I'm sorry, Sarah, what's going on with your case. Please schedule a consultation. My email is info@jqqlaw.com. There's a fee for the consultation, but that's too case specific for me to be able to answer here without sitting and talking with you. The consultation will be by video. Never Go says, thanks, you're welcome. Mr. Amari says, thanks, you're welcome too. Jitan, you're welcome. Mina says, my friend is in Afghanistan. He wants to get a business visa to Europe, but doesn't know how he can work. Yeah, that's exactly what a private consultation is. So you should have your friend schedule a consultation to talk about it. Because again, there is no business visa. If you look up business visa, there's nothing like that. There's tourism for business if you're a negotiated contract. There's L1A intercompany transfers if you have a subsidiary or affiliate company abroad in the United States. There's H1B specialized knowledge employees. There's O1 extraordinary ability employees. There's E2 investor treaty visas, which Afghanistan is not a part of. There's EB-5 immigrant. So none of these are called business visas. So that's why it's it's important. The terminology is really important because each one has separate meanings in immigration. And so I'd recommend consulting with the attorney in private so you get full guidance on this kind of stuff. You have better understanding of it. Matur says, heard to talking about green card can be applied, but what about marriage green card? Your question is not fully clear, Matur, but yes, you could apply for the green cards. Now, when it's going to get approved, when interview is going to happen, that's a different story. But if you're interested, especially a marriage green card case, contact my office. That's my focus and specialty with the types of cases I handle is on marriage green card cases. We can schedule a video consultation. Just shoot me an email. We can schedule a time for that. Roham says, hi, do you accept marriage visa cases from Texas? If yes, how can I start with you? Yes, Roham, actually I do. I have handled cases. I have a case in Plano, Texas, in Maserati. I think it's Maserati, Texas. I have clients over there. They're all around Dallas, mostly my clients. But the only thing about a marriage green card case is there eventually will be an in-person interview. And now, more than half the time nowadays, it's not really required for me to come to the interview. When the initial consultation, I review it to see if there's any red flags. I would need a lawyer for you there. The red flags are if you guys don't speak English well and you're not able to communicate with the officer well. If there's any criminal arrest history that's complicated, you need a lawyer to be there. And third, some people get really nervous at the interview, so you want a lawyer to be there. So if you require an interview, I wouldn't be able to come, but I have colleagues all over America. I have a deep network of immigration lawyers. I've been in this business for a long time, and I'm friends with most immigration lawyers. And so I'll have someone that could go with you to the in-person interview if you needed it. But other than that, everything else is done by mailing stuff to the government. So I frequently take cases from across the country. Probably it's not going to be a problem unless you have some serious issues that need someone to be there to watch out for things, which most cases don't. So just email my office, info@jqqlaw.com. We'll schedule a consultation and we'll take it from there. Jenny says, hello, sir. Are the National Visa Center working on cases even if the embassy is closed? Yes, the National Visa Center is the group that organizes and accepts documents on behalf of applicants for green cards, for immigrant visas, before the embassy interview is set up as part of the consular processing step. And they never shut down. Now, they're less staffed. They say they were going to be a little slower, but what I found in my case is it's actually just as fast as ever, if not faster. So once your initial petition is approved with USCIS, the case gets sent to the National Visa Center. That could take anywhere from 1 day to 3 months, I've found. That part's a little weird because our cases, immediately National Visa Center contacts us once the I-130 is approved. Then I have 2 cases right now, 3 months later, we still haven't been contacted by them. So it's a weird situation. But once they notify us that we could pay the fees and upload documents to their website, I've been doing that, and really around 3 weeks after submitting, they've been telling us, giving the okay, but then we have to wait for the embassies to reopen up to do the interview. Maybe if there's an emergency situation, we could get the embassy to do the interview sooner. I have colleagues that are getting even green cards approved in France, like marriage green cards of U.S. citizens approved in France. I've seen one in London. What other place? I know France and London for sure. I was reading that today. So things are slowly moving along, but not every embassy. Each one is case by case. Satalia, is advanced parole back for DACA? We don't know. DACA is deferred action for childhood arrivals. These are people who came to the U.S. as children, usually young people, and are allowed to stay here and get a work permit if they apply for this program, DACA. And part of that is if they need for an emergency, urgent reason to travel, they get special permission to travel and come back. Well, this was the case until President Trump came and he stopped the travel back and forth. But the Supreme Court made a decision that said President Trump can get rid of the program DACA, but he has to do the paperwork right. So they sent the case back and said they undid what President Trump has done. So based on the law, yeah, you should be able to do advanced parole, but USCIS has not given any guidance or the proper paperwork for us to do it. And President Trump has signaled that he's going to reinstitute the cancellation of DACA and as a consequence, advanced parole. So we don't really know. I mean, you could give it a shot. The risk is the filing fees of applying for advanced parole and see what they say, whether they reject it, approve it, or let it linger. That's a risk you'll take. Probably you'll be losing filing fees potentially. But it's not clear. They haven't done the procedures right for us to be able to do it. So there's no real answer. I mean, the answer is yes and no at the same time. Yes, they should be able to, but no, the government's not hasn't given us word that it's possible. Laxmana says, does U.S. as in people, international students signing petition affect the new law? Probably not. Actually do whatever they want to do. If you want to sign a petition, but one that's signing a petition or done anything. It's 4th of July was just a few days ago. There's a big petition they signed there called the Declaration of Independence. But the petition itself didn't do anything. It's the guys with guns and sabotaging the British troops that did something. So you can write petitions, all this kind of stuff. The First Amendment stuff you do all you want, but it's the Second Amendment that does the job. But I'm not saying do that. But I'm saying my point is about petitions being bad, not to committing violence. So make that clear. User 49 says, any of your clients on H1B came back smoothly? I don't have too many clients on H1B. I don't usually handle those cases, but I've heard of people coming smoothly. I had one colleague who said one of them, the airline wouldn't board, so we have to see what's going on with that, but generally it's been okay. User 49 says, I'm going back to India, man. They don't want us here anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, when we say they, that's a big term. Some people do, some people don't. Some people don't want me here, and I was born here. So that wouldn't be a reason for you to leave if you're uncomfortable. There's a lot of good people too. But it's a personal decision to make, and depends on where you're living, the people you're associating with, have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. That's one of the reasons I started my own business, so I don't have to deal with anybody. Now, in India, it's hard because I can start my business. I was born and raised here, so I don't need visas and stuff. But many countries have a visa called the E2 visa, where you come to the United States, you can start your business and run it based on your own terms. So not like the H1B, where you're stuck with some work and some employer controlling you. And that way you control who you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, not have to deal with idiots. But India does not have the E2 treaty, so you have to get a passport of a country that does have the E2 treaty. Then you can start your own business here and thrive. There are some countries like Turkey where if you buy a house there, they're saying, I'm not sure, you get Turkish citizenship, and if you do, you can use the E2 treaty program, come to the United States, start a business, and be here on your own terms instead of being beholden to some employer. Hashimi asks, does it affect case when sponsor became a citizen for permanent resident from per? No, it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. So in this kind of case, I believe you're talking about like a family-based case where you have an I-864 sponsor, someone who's a joint sponsor that's going to financially take care of you if needed, and they were a green card holder when you submitted the case, but now they're a U.S. citizen. That doesn't make a difference. Let's see, a lot of talking today. Moe says, I applied for my son for passport and citizenship overseas, and he has an appointment on April 9th. Then they cancel his appointment. I don't know what to do right now. I emailed them saying, Cam, I don't know, your question is lost. But essentially you're saying you applied for your son's citizenship passport, the embassy, they canceled the appointment. You just got to communicate with them to get it open. American Citizen Services should remain open this time, though not as much. But hopefully they'll figure it out. I don't know. I have to see what's going on, but it's really up to the embassy and their scare of COVID-19. Shahrukh regular listener says, when you live in different state of USA, is that make any difference while applying for citizenship? Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't really matter what state you're in. It's a big question. It really depends on the facts of your case. So there's kind of two major things. One is, if you're going to apply for citizenship, you have to live in one state and be domiciled there for at least 3 months. You can't just hop into another state, apply for citizenship. Once you move to a different state, you have to stay there 90 days before you can file for citizenship. So that's one thing. The second thing is, the U.S. is broken down into several circuits, and these are appeals courts where federal courts have control over the laws on those areas. So, for example, I'm in the 9th Circuit in California, but there's various kind of circuits. The rules in these different circuits vary. And so what might happen is you might live in a circuit where you have a particular weird kind of issue with your background, your case, where in California it's fine, but if you're in Texas, it's not. Now, that's why, people, I've recommended people have consultation for citizenship, and some people push back and say, oh, you're just trying to make money off of stuff. It's like, it's not the case. This stuff is so nuanced. Most of the time, it's not a problem. But when we have a consultation of our citizenship, I go and analyze. The goal is just to see your life from beginning to now, and to see if there's any red flags or issues, and then identify them, and then be like, well, if there is an issue, is that a problem in Texas as opposed to California? So when you ask, does it make a difference which state you're applying for? Maybe. If you applied for a green card and it was in a state where the way you applied was incorrect, but it would have been correct in California, then yeah, that's the thing. Now, it's very rare, but even if something's rare, let's say it's 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000, if you're that one person, you're screwed. So, my job is to be careful for every single person that calls me, even though it's a rare kind of event, because even if it's rare, if it happens to you, it's not too rare to you, it's really bad. So these are the things you got to think about, and so that's the kind of answer I give to a general question like that. As always, consult with an immigration lawyer private about your case. So we got only a few minutes left. I'll take a couple more and we'll call it a day. The video of this will be available in a couple of days on YouTube, but you can always join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday. We're going to be live on TikTok as every weekday we are, but also live on YouTube. The JQK Law Firm YouTube page will be live there. Abdul says, how do I know which USCIS office has my case to get approved? Connecticut. Well, it depends on what kind of case you have. Once you submit your case, you're going to get a receipt. On the bottom left of the receipt, it will show the service center that's handling your case. And then eventually it's going to be sent to your local field office where you live. If that office is very busy, they may send it to some other office. Historically, they did not do this, but they're so backed up now that they're sometimes transferring cases to far off offices. But that's rare. But in general, it's depending on your zip code or where your home is. That's going to be the field office that eventually gets your case. But at the first, it's with the service center. It's listed on the bottom left of your receipt notice. Let's see. I'll take a couple more. I've been yelling. My throat's giving out. I am Sarah says, can my mom stay in the U.S. while her application is being processed for a green card? Probably, but it depends. I need to know more information about you before I can answer that kind of case-specific question, Sarah. So definitely just schedule a consultation and talk with a lawyer about it. Jitan says it's not a red flag, right? Jitan, I don't know what your previous question was to say what's not a red flag. Last question you say. So you please refresh me. We're probably not going to have time to refresh, but shoot your question out again to see what that red flag is. I don't have a reference to your previous question. Mike says, I got denied for my citizenship. Can I apply again? You could always apply again, but I can't advise you to do that. You should consult a lawyer to see why you were denied and if you could fix that. So generally, most people, my question is, most people can apply again. I don't know if you have. That answer is worthless. So I just consult an attorney to check out what went wrong with your case. You shouldn't be getting denied. It's something you probably could have, saw ahead of time to avoid it. So you should consult an attorney. Ahitar says, just because I did unpaid internship in OPT, is it a problem to get my H-1B through your job? It can be. It could have been a violation for doing unpaid internship if you didn't notify your school of it. Consult with immigration in private. I don't want to answer that here. Maddie says, what happens if I am F1 and request asylum, but still not lose my F1 status? Nothing. You maintain your F1 status until if your asylum is approved, you go to asylum status. If it's not, you maintain your F1 status. Sometimes they'll send you removal, but not usually. Sonari says, any good news about marriage-based green card yet or not? No. Sitali says, thank you. You're welcome. Masa says, hello. I hope you're doing great. Thank you. I am. User Finance says, best trust lawyer. Thank you so much. Umar says, how are you? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. And I guess this will be our last question right here. My dad is out of the country. He has a green card in Pakistan. Will he be able to come back? It's 6 months. I just posted a video answering this question on YouTube. Please go there, JQK Law Firm YouTube page, where I break down with captions. You can follow that, and I have my explanation of that. It's a few minutes. Please go to the YouTube page, JK Law Firm, and you'll get to answer that question I get asked a lot, which is, what if you're stuck outside the United States for more than 6 months on a green card? And let's see, Najmi says, any updates about U.S. citizenship? I got to see what's going on in your case to see what update applies to you. Wahid says, hello sir, what day the Baltimore court will open? Check out the EOIR website and they'll get some information there. User 49 says, awesome guy, I love this guy, I live this guy, I love this guy. You're welcome, thank you. Tarek said, this is my last semester and I have a few credits left, so can I file reduced course load to stay in the United States? You should consult with your university, the DSO, and ask them how that looks. It probably is possible to talk with them. Adonis says, what are some countries who are willing and welcoming people to immigrate? I don't keep track of that, and so that's something to go look at. It's not my job. R says, international students have to go back. It depends. Dwala says, how do I know which US has my case? We already answered that question. We're going on fast mode right now to answer a lot of stuff. But let's see, user 49, sir, last question. E2 visa means I will get residency. No, the E2 visa is only a non-immigrant visa, which means you could live in the United States and work for the E2 company as long as it's operating, but it does not lead to residency. Many other countries have residency programs for these kind of investments, not the United States. Now, there is an EB-5 program where if you keep reinvesting your personal funds into the business and grow it and add 10 employees or save 10 employees, blah, 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 it may work. It's complicated. That's something you should consult with an immigration attorney about in private, but the E2 itself does not lead to a residency. Sean says, any good news about marriage? We answered that. You asked that again. User, what about green card holders that have been out of country? I answered that. Please watch the video on YouTube, JK Law Firm YouTube page. Luzgari CS says, does credit score affect if I'm requesting for my spouse in Mexico? It may, excuse me, it may in the future affect it, but excuse me about that. But yeah, you gotta see. Probably not. It's more of the foreign spouse's credit score on yours, but who knows with this government? Probably not, but consult with an attorney because the new requirements with public charge are complicated. Sean says, same question over again. Okay, will you answer question in Persian, sir? No, I won't. It's only going to be English. Sarah says, thank you, you're welcome. Abdullah says, how much do you need to sponsor your wife? I talked about that earlier. Saran says, any good news about marriage? Please stop asking the same question. Abdullah says, I love you too. Kyrie says, can illegal immigrant travel by car to Arizona? There's risk to it. If you get stopped, it's going to be a problem. Let's see. We're going fast mode. We're going to call it a day pretty soon. Nazmi says, any updates? You guys start asking the same questions. I'll get to it. All right, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, JK Law Firm page, and on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, J-O-H-N. Until then, be safe and God bless. Bye-bye.